Your question, the member from Thornhill.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And my question is also for the Premier. Premier, the consistent thing about your government is a predisposition to making Ontarians pay for your broken promises, for your debt, and your uncontrollable spending, and your budget is proof of that. The budget your government presented was unacceptable to most Ontarians, and it was unacceptable to the majority of us here. You've made concessions at the 11th hour only to keep your government alive, but you have not solved any problem. In fact, you only deferred the jobs and debt crisis, and you condemned Ontarians right down to our grandchildren to repayment. Is this your idea of accountability and responsible management of our province's finances?
Premier.
Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance.
Accountability and transparency is important, and I would ask the member opposite to deliver to his leader the message that he needs to be part of this, that we need to work together. Instead of saying before reading the budget you're voting against it, you need to show up, you need to participate, Mr. Speaker, you need to stop the name-calling, you need to work together, Mr. Speaker. I think that's what Ontarians expect. This is not a giant talk radio studio, Mr. Speaker. This is an important place where public business is done. The leader of the opposition and the official opposition have been absent without leadership, Mr. Speaker. We're going to continue to work with all sides of the House to build a better Ontario for all Ontarians.
Supplementary.
I particularly find it interesting that the Deputy Premier, the Minister of Finance, uses this acronym, so I'll use one too. SNAFU, situation normal, always fiscally unsustainable. Look, your government has simply done away with the concept of living within our means. In fact, there is a real disconnect in your government between your spending and your ability to pay. Your budget certainly doesn't solve the problem, and only last week your government voted against a motion put forward by my colleague from Wellington Halton Hills to systematically pay down the deficit. Instead, you decided to once again raise taxes. As usual, you're only too happy to shift the burden of your failures to Ontarians, their children and their grandchildren. 82% of respondents to a CFRA Ottawa poll say Premier McGuinty is not a man of principle. Is that your idea, Premier, of leadership?
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, leadership involves laying out a balanced budget plan that's been accepted by most independent thinkers, Mr. Speaker. It involves listening to other people when they have suggestions that will make things better. It's not about talk radio and polls on radio stations. Mr. Speaker, I've spoken to more than 100,000 people through my telephone town halls. My colleagues have had them all over Ontario. Mr. Speaker, the opportunity still exists for the official opposition to get back to work. Stop the nomination meetings, quit ordering the lawn signs, stop playing games, quit the name-calling. Let's work together to build a better Ontario for all Ontarians, Mr. Speaker.